I was barely 20 years old when my father, the man in the picture, died. Okay. The official cause was a heart attack that put an end to a long illness. But that was only part of the truth. The real reason was something much more complicated, something that's been growing inside him for years. You see, my father had always been a mystery to me. And when I was a kid, we lived in Belarus, a country where most people struggled to get by. But somehow, he always had money. More than most. We never had to worry about bills. We lived in a nice apartment. We had vacations. And to convey to you how unusual that level of economic bliss was, you have to understand that most people in Belarus were lucky to make $500 per month. But I never knew exactly what he did. But whenever I asked, he would smile, just like that, ruffle my hair and tell me, it's just business, son. What I didn't know is that his business was slowly killing him. I remember one night, when I was 12 or so, I woke up to the sound of my mother crying. I peeked through the door to see my father clutching his chest, his face twisted in pain. It's nothing. He waved off her concern. And we believed him. We wanted to believe him. We always did. A few years later, my brother, that little one in the picture, came home to find him dead. A heart attack. Another one. This time, there was no more hiding it. And when he died, the secret started unraveling. You see, my father had been living a double life I personally had never imagined. He was a money launderer, just like in Ozarks, for corrupt politician and businessman. That was the price of my comfort. That was the stress, the never-ending pressure on his heart. And behind it, something even crueler. Cancer, stage 4. A silent enemy that was eating away at him, just like the life that he had chosen. I was angry. I was angry at him for years of lies. I was angry at the world for making him believe that that was his only option. I was angry that no one, not even he, had chosen to see what was happening to his own body until it was too late. You see, that anger could have consumed me. Somehow, I had strength to transform it. I decided that if my father had to suffer in silence, others wouldn't. That if my brother had to go through losing his father before even turning a teenager, others wouldn't. That's the video that got me the most when I was collecting this presentation. I don't want other kids' memories of their parents to be resolved to a video like that. That's why I do today what I do. Because behind every data point, and for some reason I always saw the world in data points, there is a life. And that's what brought me to marketing, where it's so confusing, just like a human body. I remember seeing this years ago, and for some reason, marketing was my way to get into it. And that's also what brought me to the States. So my kids' comfort doesn't have to be paid by my lie equity, but can be paid by my sweat equity. I remember moving to this first apartment in Boulder years ago. That was it. There was nothing else. There was like, I had no luggage. My luggage got lost in transfer. That's how Delve got started. Over the years, I've had a chance to do web analytics to find patterns, digital marketing, programmatic, paid search, paid social, finding those data points, data engineering, media planning, always finding something that is lost in translation. And at some point, I found my way to working with many nonprofits. And I had a chance to work with UNICEF, with UNFPA, with many others. But I remember first time when we worked with Blood Cancer United, our first cancer client, I cried in the sales meeting. That's what brought me to 2025. Me and 130 people with me. And in 2025, this problem was the problem. For many charities, the given pyramid looked like this, where the top is overweight, there are few very high value major donors, but the base of the pyramid is declining. There are fewer and fewer people giving more and more dollars. It's unstable. It's a given pyramid that was turning into the Eiffel Tower. And yet, there was this promise of AI abyss. AI solves everything. ChatGPT will take all our jobs. We decided to get together, this was a year ago, with about 100 organizations between New York and DC, ranging from local food banks to nationwide cancer organizations. We got together and we spoke about AI. I don't think any of these people are here today, but we got together and we did a workshop. We spent 3 hours going through, where are we with AI? Are we nascent, emergent, connected, multi-moment? We learned that most of our organizations are just at the beginning of the journey. We also spoke about a number of projects that can take us up what we call the AI maturity curve. And we also uncovered a number of dirty secrets that I want to share with you today. The first one, it's as freaking confusing as marketing was 10 years ago when I got into it. There is a LumaScape of AI tools. I have no idea what probably 90% of these tools do. The second one, the real tension of fundraisers isn't how to get good with AI. It's how to do our job better, faster, and how to raise more money for the causes that brought us into this field. The third one, which speaks to this, how do we do that? I was surprised. I'm a marketer. I thought it's always about ROI. The answers we got from all the organizations overwhelmingly is, I want more sustainers. Dana. I want more sustainers that are stable supporters of my mission that I can acquire for the price much lower than their lifetime value. So we can actually plan 3 years, 4 years, 5 years ahead as an organization. And the challenges on the way there are connected to AI, but they don't really have much to do with AI. The challenges are things like too many data sources. Who can resonate? Just raise your hand. Cool. Fear of usage, data segmentation, bad segmentation, focus on like budget, team resources. None of it is new. It's the same challenges we've been facing with programmatic, with digital advertising, with direct mail, with TV, with everything for years and years. So we decided to solve it. And what we came up with is this proverbial 3.5-legged stool. And when we summarized all the challenges, what we found and validated with, by now, about 250 organizations is what stands in the way of us increasing the count of new-to-file sustainers in digital. First, misaligned media. We say we want sustainers, but how we manage our marketing programs are not always targeted towards that, which is usually led by lack of personalization. Sustainers are long-time supporters. Sustainers get something out of commitment, and yet they probably get less than they could, which is usually driven by lack of segmentation. Do we really know what are the segments of our sustainers and what do they care about? Which is usually driven by siloed data. These 4 things, they're not new. None of them have a word AI, and yet AI can be a tool in solving all of them. But there is a thing. And I believe this deeply. Radical authenticity beats, hammers, kicks the shit out of AI slop every day, any day. AI can be a tool to enable radical authenticity, but AI has to be a tool, not a tool, a mean, not an end. So my little pinky promise to you for the next 60 or so minutes is let's dig into how. 2026. Fast forward. Still the case. 4 out of 5 donors under 40 years old don't donate to the same organization ever again. This is from USA Given report. I love this stat out of that, 40-page report. This is one number that stood out to me. What stands out even more is if I go at people over 65, that number is different. It's 2.5. So to reframe it, 20% of donors under 40 give, 50% of donors over 65 give. To reframe it, 50% of donors over 65 don't give, but 80% of donors under 40 don't give ever again. What do we not provide them? What can we provide to them for them to feel that we as organizations feed into their authenticity? And there is a piece here where they don't donate to the same organization. They do donate to the same cause, but they go between organization to organization to organization. They flip. They're not sustaining. They're not getting the value that they're looking to get from the donation from a given organization. Why? If we had a magic wand, what would we do about it? And what if we treated AI as that magic wand? As not an end, but as a mean that we can build and craft and solve some of these challenges in a way that we didn't have an opportunity to do 5, 10 years ago. Because that's all it is. It's a door that's now open that wasn't before. This will be our guide for a little bit. Let's call for Margaret. Margaret is a donor to, let's say, Habitat for Humanity. She lives in Chicago. She takes a train line every morning. She goes by this one community, and after a while, she donates to Habitat as a one-time donor. She continues to go by the same community to see the family that is moving into that, but she never heard from them. She got one email, and that email was speaking about something she doesn't really care about. What can we change for Margaret to donate again, and how AI can be the part of that? We'll address 2 of them today, just because I have 75 minutes, not 140. Brian? The first one is lack of personalization. You have this red, my sound keeps going up and down then, yes? Okay. You see, all of you have this red card on the table. There should be 1 per table. Can you pick that up, and can I ask 1 person per table to be a volunteer to be a captain, just like in a school project? See, I never went to school in the States, so I love group projects. I need 1 person per table. I'm going to volunteer Brian, but then from here, who else? Okay, what's your name? Ashlyn? Ashlyn or Ashley? Ashley, cool, thank you. What about you? What's your name? Beth? Brian, Ashley, Beth, Terry, Alex? Natalie, okay. And we'll spare the Fundraise app table. Look at that card. It's the same card that's on the screen. If you had a magic wand, and you already know your current donors, your one-time donors, and you know their most recent donation time, the frequency, the value, you might even know their lifetime value and churn risk. What would you do if you could do anything? What else would you want to know about your donors where can you gather that information, and do you even care if you have a magic wand? And what would you want your magic wand to do with it? We'll do 5 minutes or 3 minutes, and they'll just walk around the tables. Think about it. And if I summarize a lot of it, what we usually see, and in this case, that unhappy, stressed fundraiser that I showed at the beginning, I just decided to call him Alex. There is no associations. But what Alex usually knows about Margaret is, oh, all the classic things. What is her cumulative value? How frequently did she give? What is her predicted lifetime value based on I don't know what? Churn risk, capacity score, all of those things. And yet what we really want to know about her is, who is Margaret? Why did she give? What would she tell me if I asked her why did she give? And more importantly, what would make her give again? What can I provide her with for her to feel that whatever she donated to actually happened? And it's very different for every donor, for Habitat or for any other organization. What is her motivation? We usually call it, what is her job to be done? It's a very old, I think, psychological framework in marketing of whenever I buy anything or donate to something, I'm hiring an organization for a certain job. What is that job for every donor? And how can we fulfill that job and tell them that we fulfill it? One example of how we do it and how AI helps is, when was the last time any of you spoke to your donors? Just actually picked up the phone and spoke to them. Cool. Good. When was the last time you spoke to every donor on your file? Yep, because it's impossible. Because we can do that with our major donors portfolio, but it's economically impossible to do it with mass donors. That's the first magic wand, where we can bring that level of detailization, of clarity that we have about major donors to every mass donor on the file. I'll give you an example. In particular for Habitat, we spoke to them. This is an example for Habitat, and one reason and one question you've heard we ask the donors is political affiliations. Why political affiliations? There is this common misconception in most third-party data, classic database. Democrats give to Habitat, Republicans don't. We wanted to challenge that. We wanted to ask them about their values and why they gave to Habitat, but also what are their political affiliations and if there is any correlation. Bottom line, none. Nor positive, nor negative, absolutely none. But I want to show you two examples, and yes, it's a skeleton MVP and a full-blown solution of how AI can do something like that. The first version would be, and let's see if it works. The first version is, okay, 30 donors, talk to the people, and then AI, create your own ChatGPT. We call it DonorGPT. This is a full-blown version. Create an actual chat that allows me to talk to donors, ask them questions, the questions that I've heard in this room. Why did you give? What did you give to? What is the job to be done? What do you need to know to give again? Ask those questions and go ahead and segment them into essentially personas. And I'll show you a couple examples. There is a connection to the cards on your desk. But these personas aren't about how many times did you give. These personas are about why you gave and what would make you give again. And the strength that AI brings is we can extrapolate a very small, two things. First, we can extrapolate a very small subset of the data to an entire database in extremely accurate way, surprisingly accurate. And the second thing, which is more interesting, is we can analyze unstructured data. Why am I talking about interviews? So I'm in B2B. I get hit up by B2B salespeople all the time. I'm sure there is some data out there that categorizes me into a bunch of different dimensions. I wish a single sales rep who is talking to me, instead of looking at that database, read what I post on Facebook, what I post on LinkedIn, and what I posted on Reddit. Because they would at least figure out the words I use. That is the strength of AI that we simply didn't have 5 years ago. We couldn't analyze unstructured data. We couldn't analyze interviews. We couldn't analyze call recordings that you have with your major donors on file. Who records calls with their major donors? Through the CRM. Those are interviews that already happened. We couldn't analyze their Facebook feeds. Not the interests, but the actual feeds. We couldn't analyze their feedback. We couldn't analyze what they text us back with. That's the first strength. And the second strength is we can uncover something that is really hard to uncover otherwise. There are these 4 colorful cards on every table, or at least should be. These are the 4 common personas that we've identified for Habitat for Humanity. I'll just give everybody a minute, read through them. Just remember number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Cool. And again, it's meant to be quick. It's meant to be as quick as the third-party data you're getting from a co-op database. So I'll show everybody 3 quotes. These are the 3 quotes that we pulled out of these interviews with no context. I'm asking the captain of every team or anybody on the team, just raise 1 card that your table thinks this quote came from. You ready? Okay. Eyes to the screen. First quote. Yeah, okay. When we were prepping this first time, my business partner actually thought this is actual. So I decided to keep it. It was funny. He literally started thinking. He's like, who would say that? I'm like, okay. This is the real one. Who would say that? Which persona? Orange, 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 orange. Blue. Partnering for Dignity, number 3. This was entirely the person who basically in the next sentence said, I want them to work for it. Sweat equity matters to me. This was the classic example of like skin in the game. Until they put in their sweat, I'm not willing to give to it. But it wouldn't come from the first quote. What about this? Yeah. Which one would that be? Purple, orange. Okay, orange, then purple. Okay, orange, purple. Is that pink? Pink. That table over there, what do you think? Orange? Cool. Purple. In the next sentence, this person said, but please not in my town. Essentially. And all of that is coming from, like, we wouldn't discover any of that until we actually ask them, because these biases that are coming out here, they're coming in the data unless you have that volume of data that goes deep. And there is one challenge with all of it. I mean, interviews are still complicated, right? What else can we do? What can be a skeleton-like solution to get to the same exact outcome, but do it today? And again, with the help of AI. I call it the segmentation that already happened. How many years, just some organizations, how many years have you been sending emails out to your donor base? Just like numbers. Emails or direct mail assets. Like a lot. And some donors respond to them. Some donors respond to some of them. Some donors respond to other ones of them. And it's the best example of long-form, unstructured content that shows segmentation that already happened. What are the assets I responded to? But first, what are the values that are coded in those assets? Because I resonated with them. So one example of a MVP solution would be going from this question, which we can go and ask to ChatGPT today, to a little further, to a little, ChatGPT, help me create an actual question, right? Like a short prompt to create a really long prompt. By the way, this was probably the best thing I've learned at some point from somebody who's actually working for Claude. They told me, use AI to write prompts for AI. Create a simple prompt such as, help me create a data engineering prompt. And the outcome of this prompt is about 4 pages, including the API code that connects to your exact CRM, that pulls data from your exact CRM, from your advertising solutions, that connects it to which creative assets are working for whom in my organization. It's a little bit of that like quick magic wand, but a little bit of a skeleton solution. What if we were able to feed all those assets, all that a lot of years that we've been sending direct mail and email and landing pages and phone call recordings into Claude or something and say, tell me not only what worked before, but can you use that to tell me what would work into the future? Yeah, we could. And that same chatbot that I showed you, that we can ask a very basic question of why did you give, I can use that to react to some assets or combine it into something that would look like this, where for every donor, I can rank all the assets I can show them from my current content library and ask, what would you resonate with? If I showed you this, would you donate again or would you unsubscribe? And I can do that at scale at probably 80% accuracy. Yes, will it be 100% accurate? No. Will it help me exclude 80% of my investment that is the worst? Yeah. Would that feel like a magic wand? And what if I did the same, but I did it for my landing pages? And I was able to combine that into a journey. For each persona, what is the ad to show? What is the best persona? What is the best landing page? And how should I combine them? That would feel cool. That would also feel authentic and not sloppish. We're not doing it from creating something for this particular donor that is just optimized to them. We're picking which of our message will resonate with that human more than anything else. The way I think about it is Instagram, but based on your own data. Who at least once spent hours doom scrolling Instagram? Yeah, it's freaking addictive. But all they do is exactly that. All they do is all the history of content that you resonated with at any moment in time, that they combine into what is the next best piece. Why not do the same, but based only on your data, and not muddy it with data from 100 other organizations? We'll skip through that. It will be a secret. Let's shift. The second leg, okay? So personalization, segmentation, how do we use it? Who on this team runs fundraising? Either direct mail or digital, but mass fundraising, any channel. Any channel. Raise your hands just so I know. Okay. You probably get reports like this, either from your agency or from your internal team. It can look like this, it can look like 10 other versions of the report, but it will be something like this, where there is a bunch of questions around exact summary and how much we spent and what is the total conversions and what is return on our investment and all of those standard questions. For those of you who are running some channels, do you know your average cost per donor? Just yes or no? Usually, yeah. Usually, yeah. At least like somewhat average cost per donor. Do you know how much would it cost to acquire next sustainer? How much more do you need to invest to get one more sustainer? Or one more donor? Yes, no? Somewhat. Worse? Do you know when you get that incremental $100,000 or $1 million from the board, do you know where to invest that for that best return on the next sustainer or on the next donor? Not really. And yet that is the question that all of us crave to have an answer to. It's like, where should I invest? I have more money, where should I invest? Let's exercise. We have a green card. And let's, before we go into it, let's shift the captains. Will somebody else? Can I get another person to raise their hand quickly per table? And it's easy, sorry. Okay, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Cool. So for those of you who are not managing digital media, let's imagine you were. If you had a magic wand, there are channels you're managing, there is budget you're investing between face-to-face, direct mail, digital, whatever else it can be. You don't really know how much every new sustainer costs or how much one more of them would cost. That's a very hard question to answer, mainly because we usually know the answer to the average, but we don't know the answer to the worst. And next is always the worst. The next sustainer is always going to cost us more than the worst one that we're acquiring right now. So if you did have a magic wand and it could give you anything, what would you need to know to compare all the channels between one another? How would you invest differently? How would you make investment decisions between those channels differently? And how far would you scale any of those channels if you could actually answer these questions? Spend a minute. About 5 to 7 years ago, in digital, Google and Meta around the same time introduced the same solutions, which at the time felt like a magic wand, which is basically like, give me your money, I'm going to drive you conversions. That's what it says. I think it's the best thing that happened for marketers. The time between setup and value shortened by 70%. I think it's the worst thing that happened for marketing because the value and returns plummeted. That's pretty much when we went from seeing 3-to-1, 4-to-1 returns in Meta for many nonprofits to seeing, on average, good if 0.7, 0.8. The best thing for marketers, the worst thing for marketing. Why? Who in this room holds any amount of stock? Okay. Would you pay to a venture fund capital or to any venture firm to buy an S&P 500 fund and put all your money into an S&P 500 fund? Would you pay 15% of your money for that fund to do that? Yep. It's a race to the middle, right? You either want to not pay for the actual S&P 500, or you want to pay to beat the returns of the average. These tools, when they were introduced, are the great thing for the marketers whose performance was below average, because it got them to the average, and the worst thing that happened for marketers whose performance was above average, because it got them to the average. That's one example. Nobody would pay Sequoia Capital 15% of assets under management if what they were doing is investing it into S&P 500. In my humble opinion, nobody should pay any percentage management to anybody whether that's a freelancer or an agency, invest in 100% of the money into PMax or Advantage Plus for that same reason. Another reason why it's the worst thing that happened to marketing is it feels like a Plinko game. Has anybody played Plinko? When you drop a ball in Plinko, what's the outcome? Yeah, and where does it end up? Like in this board, which one of the four will it end up? Exactly. The answer is I don't know. Same as when I drop the ball or I drop $1 into an advertising campaign with a goal of just driving more revenue, there is a certain chance it will drive a major donor, a certain chance it will drive a mid-level, a certain chance it will drive a sustainer, a certain chance it will drive nothing at all. And that certain chance is completely outside of my control unless I take control. It feels a little bit like this, where, and I frequently talk to CFOs, and one of their main pains is I invest in channels, but I make money from donors. I invest in paid search, so the cost on the P&L is paid search, but I make money from mid-level donors. So the revenue is mid-level donors, and there is nothing yet that connects those two. There is a freaking spider net in between them. The for-profit world solved it. I'll give you an example. We worked with a travel chain called Omni Hotels. They have, I live in Denver. They have 2 properties in Denver, 0.7 miles away from each other. Those 2 hotels are owned by 2 entirely different owners. It's a franchise. Both of them invest in marketing. None of them want their investment to drive revenue for the other one. How do you do that when your properties are 0.7 miles away? It's the same brand, it's the same city, it's as close as I can walk with, like in 15 minutes, I can make it from one to another. How do I control marketing in a way where, no, I'm only targeting people and I'm only connecting revenue that is actually driving that part? Their answer is essentially solve the Plinko game, right? Go for any possible outcome, model all the possible outcomes, all the ball bounces, all the impressions, all the behaviors of travelers, and create that structure with multiple investment buckets where they know exactly not which tactics they're investing in, but acquiring which travelers they're investing in. The problem with that is that's how their marketing team looks. That's an AI picture, but who in this room has a marketing team of that size? Yeah, exactly. I mean, even Fundraise app, guys, I don't think you do. Wow. That's another thing where AI is a little bit of that tool on top of, right? It's a little bit of that enabler. It's a little bit of, one analogy I always think of, it's a little bit of that army of interns that can be hired for essentially not zero salary, but definitely below living wage, to create work that is scalable. But the problem is they still need direction. Would there be any organization in this room that would take me up on the offer if I offered to hire 1,000 interns and pay for their time for a year, but you have to give them $1 million in budget each and you cannot tell them what to do? Would you give them that money? Yes. I wouldn't either. They need direction. The AI needs direction as much as those interns. Another analogy I think of it is enabling those of us who have that passion to drive that radical authenticity, to find those donors, but give them something they didn't have before. That guy on the right on a slide is Chris Wayman. He was an intern 2 years ago. He works at Delve. In the last 2 years, Chris came back 2 years ago. He's one person, but he grew in his career in 2 years as much as I grew in probably 8. Because he started using AI that gave him leverage on his time. AI is the leverage on the time of those who have the passion. So similar, what are two examples of what can it be? One example is, again, full-blown build-out example and like enterprise level would look like something like this, where you actually built a team of 9 people. Each of them has a role. Each of them has a connection to the tools. Each of them has a skill set that is trained to perform their role the best. That's an enterprise version. What would be a little quicker version that we can do today? I'll show you an example. So does anybody know what MCP is? Okay. MCP is like it's like a dictionary that allows an AI tool to talk to another tool. It's like that's what allows me to connect, let's say, Claude to my Google Ads, or let's say ChatGPT to my CRM, and for them to talk directly without me. So MCP is coming up every day, but one example is Claude has an MCP with Google Ads that ChatGPT for some reason doesn't have. This is an example we did for one of the clients where we just asked them, what percentage of your new donors do you want to be sustainers? They said 30%. And then we asked Claude and then we asked them, what share of your ads ask for monthly? What do you think? And they also said 30%, logical. And then we asked Claude to go and check every ad that is out there today for World Food Program. How many of them actually ask for a monthly donation? 5 out of 125. I'm not that quick at math, but is 5 divided by 125 30%? I don't think so too. It's a very quick check for what you are doing. Is it actually aligned with what you want to do? And then let's say that's an example. Okay, it's not, I thought I'm at 30%. I want to be at 30%. I'm at 4. How do I fill that gap? Why don't I create 5 ads in a matter of a couple of minutes based on what I showed you before? Based on all those assets that I'm doing, and will it start moving that percentage? Probably, or probably not. Most frequently, yes. And then another example on that same thing, we're talking about AI, but so Claude can talk to our Google Ads, and Claude surprisingly has access to all the information in the world. We just need to ask a question. What prevents me from writing a query or a prompt saying, Claude, acting as a financial portfolio manager, apply that philosophy, analyze my Google Ads account, analyze what I'm investing money in compared to my goals. Am I doing the best? And before that, apply a theory or ask me follow-up questions. It takes 5 minutes, but for a non-profit team that doesn't have an agency with 100, 150 people working on your accounts, it gives you that team of interns as long as you teach them. The best trick that I used in especially ads analysis is there is no theory out there about how to optimize marketing. There is a ton of theory out there about how to optimize financial portfolios, but the principles are the same. So applying those principles, AI can analyze your advertising campaigns. And then, sorry, I missed, no. And then one more thing, which is more quick, but who has tried OpenAI advertising? Exactly. A month ago, they released ads. I mean, I've been in digital marketing pretty much since Google Ads started. It feels like back to day zero. It's freaking fun because nobody knows what they're doing in this new channel. It's Wild West. The prices are low, unlike on Meta. The opportunities for personalization are crazy high because the average query is 7 times longer. And there is no benefit to those who are spending $1 million a month versus $1,000 a month. So if you're not playing with OpenAI ads today, just try. Start trying. There is nobody ahead of you. That's the best part about it. So if I bring it all together, what are we doing it all for? And what is the AI the tool for? It's a tool for me to enable Margaret to go from just going on that train ride once again to actually getting an email that will make her donate once again. And it's also not a tool to create videos yet, obviously. But it's also a tool, it's also a magic wand to change how we can live our days, to go from being stressed out and focusing on the tactics to focusing on what we actually got into this field for, advancing causes that feel authentic to us. And that is, I think, the main magic wand quality of AI. There is a printout that every one of you should have gotten from Scott on my team, which, Scott, thank you for helping me. On one side, there are just a couple other examples. On one side, there is 4 demos with the full solutions and the do-it-yourself alternatives. You can implement them today, or you can ask me any questions if you'd like to. And that's it. Thank you.